In this 9th episode of our Communal Property Essentials series, I'm going to cover the insurance requirements for your apartment building or resort, and the importance of liability protection for your management committee. While it's easy just to focus on the day-to-day operation of your building, you also need to consider a few worst-case scenarios. Hopefully you never need to deal with these kind of emergencies, but they do happen. There could be a major fire, earthquake, floods, somebody could slip and injure themselves, or somebody could, God forbid, drown in your swimming pool. While you can take measures to reduce these risks, many of them cannot be completely eliminated. So in addition to methods of prevention, you should also take measures to reduce your liability exposure. And one of these steps is getting a few key insurances in place. Having suitable insurance is actually a legal obligation of the committee. So if you fail to meet this obligation, the committee itself and its members could be held liable for any costs which would have been covered by the mandatory insurance policy had it been taken out. As I said, it's a legal requirement for your management committee to organise fire, lightning and earthquake insurance for your building at a suitable level to cover the full estimated rebuild costs of the communal areas of your building. The policy should not be based on the rebuild cost of your entire building. It's only for the rebuild cost of the shared areas. This means any part of the building shared by more than one unit owner, such as your corridors, elevators, pool areas, and so on. This is important to know as the policy will be far cheaper than a full rebuild policy, but many insurance brokers will only give you the more expensive option unless you know to ask. While it's not a legal requirement under the immovable property law, I also suggest adding coverage for third-party liability. Your communal building is a high-risk area with items like lifts, pools and car parks, which all pose a high potential risk of accident and injury to a vendor or the public. While I strongly suggest having a third-party liability insurance policy, it's also important to note that under the regulations, contracting insurance for any other risks other than the fire, lightning and earthquake required by the law, it requires a majority decision at a properly formed general meeting. If you want to add this coverage but have not had this vote yet and the AGM is a long way off, you'll need to call an extraordinary general meeting. There's no mandatory requirement at an EGM to have committee elections or to present the accounts, so you can simply hold this meeting with the single agenda item. The EGM does, however, have similar rules to the AGM which need to be followed. Otherwise, the meeting could be invalid. If you have a copy of my book, you'll find it contains step-by-step instructions for calling an EGM to help you avoid this. It is each unit owner's own responsibility to take out private insurance for their own apartments. You can, of course, assist your unit owners by negotiating a group policy with a single insurance provider, and this can work out much cheaper for everybody that uses it. However, you must make this voluntary, and any unit owner who doesn't wish to be included should not be required to pay anything towards it from their communal fees. As a member of the committee, you're an elected official of the property owners. You have an appropriate duty of care to act always in the best interests of the property owners and to manage, administrate and maintain the building in accordance with the regulation. By joining the committee, you take on a responsibility, and with this responsibility comes some risk. If your committee fails to meet your duty of care, it can be found negligent, which could leave you open to civil or criminal liability. However, the vast majority of buildings' public liability policies do not include any coverage for a claim by a property owner or a public authority. I've previously mentioned many good reasons to join your building's management committee in my other articles and books. While there's increased liability by taking on one of these committee positions, in my opinion, the benefits from being in direct control of your significant financial investment far outweigh its risk, and you can reduce this risk by taking out a dedicated committee liability insurance coverage. When taking out your standard insurance policy, always ask to include additional coverage for the committee's liability. Make sure that they fully understand that you're not requesting for general or public liability. It needs to specifically cover the management committee to cover any legal costs and claims for any civil or criminal action submitted against the committee by a property owner or a government or regulatory body. Not all insurance providers offer this as an option, and if yours doesn't, it may be time to look at switching providers. If you want to know who I recommend to all of my clients, just let me know in the comments and I'll send you some details. One of the other ways you can help reduce your exposure to liability is to consider the use of a communal property professional to assist your committee. While some management committees are well suited to self-manage their buildings, many prefer to use a communal property manager. You'll need to weigh up the pros and cons of each of these options, and this will be the subject of the next episode in the Communal Property Essentials video series. If you found this video useful, please give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't already subscribed to this channel, you can click on the subscribe button below, and don't forget to hit that bell icon to make sure you're notified when new videos are released. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments below. I do check these and will answer them. I'm Russell Flick from the Cyprus Communal Guide, where we help you unlock your building's true potential. Thank you for watching and see you next time.